Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We are all excited this Monday, May 4th, 2020. I am Dr. Kimberly Leverett, the Executive Director of Education and Training. I am with the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce this morning. I am very excited to have some great partners join me in talking about school partnerships, past, present, and future. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to everyone this morning Mrs. Anita Stewart, Interim Superintendent of Flint Community Schools. Good morning,
Hello,
Mrs. Stewart. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have with me from the Community Education Initiative Foundation, Mrs. Carrie Downs. Good morning, Carrie. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great, Kim. Nice to see you this morning.
Thank you. And I have with me also Mrs. Tari Jones. She is our fearless leader of our after-school programs, YouthQuest, with the Flint and Genesee Area Chamber of Commerce. She's one of our great directors. And thank you for joining us this morning, Mrs. Jones.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
So this is going to be a great conversation, ladies. I am so excited to talk about school partnerships, past, present, and future. I have worn many hats in the community. Mrs. Stewart, as you know, as a student in Flint Community Schools, and then as a teacher and administrator, and then Carrie, and just talking about great community partnerships as also a student at Bryant Middle School and enjoying the benefits of those wraparound services that were provided for students. And that's where at Bryant, actually, where I learned how to gymnastics was one of the activities that we participated in as a benefit of those community partners. So this morning, I will pose the first question to you, Carrie, and just talk to us about how has community education and servicing students evolved to its current state?
Yeah, so Kim, it's always really interesting for me to talk to, of course, Flint leaders and Flint residents about community ed, because I think if you ask anyone who's been in Flint for any length of time, they know the deep roots that community ed has in Flint. In fact, Flint really is the where it was launched originally in the 1930s. I don't know if people realize it goes back that far, but Frank Manley was a gym teacher for the Flint schools. And he did this fantastic program to get more playgrounds and more water safety for the Flint community back in the 1930s. And he had such a positive impact, it got the attention of C.S. Mott, Charles Stewart Mott from the Mott Foundation. And together they brought community ed to Flint and really launched what is it's a national model, right? That people looked to Flint from the 30s and on to see how to do community education well. In the 1980s, I think probably community ed started to disintegrate a little bit, maybe because of funding. But when in 2013, some local foundations, some nonprofits in the area got together and held forums across the city. And when they asked residents what they needed in the city, if we were going to invest in the city, what did the residents, what did the community want? And unanimously, people said community ed. They wanted community education back, right? Much like yourself, Dr. Leverett, you experienced community ed firsthand when you were coming up to the community schools. And so many parents knew the value in that, and they really said that's what we need back in the Flint community. And that was in 2013. So in 2014-15 school year, they relaunched community education at a pilot site, the Brownell Homes neighborhood, right on that STEM campus with Flint Community Schools. And that first year kind of set the pace for community ed coming back to Flint schools. So it's very ironic, right, to talk about what is community ed to they set the tone. We established it here in the city. And so from 2014 on, we've expanded, and now we're in all the Flint community schools, 11 of the Flint community schools investing in student partner organizations.
That is wonderful. Tari, can you add some perspective in terms of YouthQuest and all the great programming that is provided to our students in the community?
Absolutely. As an organization, our relationship with Flint Community Schools, as far as expanded learning goes back as far as the early 2000s. Ms. Retta Hunyadi, who is our former executive director and a huge advocate for after school, started working with teachers in Flint schools on strategies to connect classroom learning with real world experiences. So it included things like a student bank, post offices, and career exploration with students. It was noticed that there was a gap as far as students being able to translate what they were learning in school to them actually being able to train for the career that they want. So from there, the TeenQuest program was born. It provided skill building for high school students in the area of pre-employability as well as leadership. Participation in the program also gave students an opportunity to be hired through the Summer Youth Initiative. And over the years, Summer Youth Initiative has given thousands of students an opportunity for their first job to enter the workforce. From TeenQuest, we saw another opportunity to expand the learning that students had throughout the school day in a number of different areas, and also to provide them with a safe environment after school so that parents could have some peace of mind while they were working. So it came from the Bridges program. The Bridges program then translated into the 21st Century program, which is the modern model we have today for YouthQuest. And it provides programming at all the Flint community schools. We give students expanded learning opportunities in a number of different areas: academic support, leadership development, service learning, community engagement, all things that complement what they're doing during the school day and help them connect what they're learning to the real world. None of this would have been possible, of course, without effective partnership with the district, with community education, without generous supporters like the C.S. Mott Foundation, in particular the late Bill White, who's seen as the father of after school, and then the 21st Century Community Learning Center grants. So through all of those partnerships, we've been able to become the robust program that we are today.
Great. Thank you. Mrs. Stewart, can you add some perspective? You've been a teacher. You've worn so many hats in Flint Community Schools over the years, and just you do a fantastic job. And you and I used to work very closely together. So can you just wrap it all up in terms of how this has all evolved over the years?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Leverett. It's interesting because I too am a product of Flint Community Schools. And I remember being a student at Anderson Elementary School, and Mr. Barker was the community school director at Anderson Elementary when I was a student there. So I have seen this piece of work evolve over time, and it has been very exciting to be a part of the work. I was also a principal at Freeman Elementary School, and I've seen the impact of community education and YouthQuest, the impact that it has had on our students and our families firsthand. Community school directors are an essential part of each and every one of our school teams, and the work that they do to connect families to wraparound services and healthy activities is so important. YouthQuest programs ensure our students have productive activities to participate in when school is not in session, keeping them on track for success. Students' academic needs simply can't be met if they don't have the social and emotional supports that they need to be present in the classroom. And both community education and YouthQuest are key to meeting those needs.
Great. Thank you so much. So let's just talk about what we're doing to ensure the alignment of the partnership as it relates to the day school and the after school program. Any thoughts on that? How are we making sure that it's the partnerships are aligned? I know that Tara, you had to submit a plan to the state. Flint Community Schools had to submit a plan to the state. Carrie, we all meet and talk on a regular basis. And how are we assuring that everything is aligned, that we're all focused in one direction and ensuring the success of our students?
Yeah, so it's so interesting, Kim. So originally when we talk about the community school model, it was run by the schools. And now the model that we currently use, we have a lead agency. That happens to be the agency that I work for, the Crim Fitness Foundation. The Crim Fitness Foundation serves as the lead agency, and we have a community school director. Just as Anita mentioned, we have a community school director in every single school. So those community school directors are staffed by the Crim Fitness Foundation, but they serve in the school building and they work alongside the principals. So the community school director ensures that everything, the school improvement plan, the vision of the principal, we ensure that all of that is lined up. We've streamlined that with the work that we do in wraparound services, in after school, out of school, evening hours, and even on the weekends. That happens through true collaboration at every level with the district. We partner with Anita in the overall initiatives and the efforts across the district, and then community school directors also partner with their principals and with the site team leaders from YouthQuest to ensure that everything is aligned, that principal vision, the district focus. That's the way that we set up our programs. We capture lots of feedback from parents, students, and partners, but our community school directors serve on many of the building level committees at the school. So their school improvement team serves on their PBIS team. And then they also host monthly partner meetings with any partner who's engaged in the work at the school. They come together once a month with the community school director, the principal, to ensure that we are all grabbing a hold of the work that we're doing to best serve students and families.
Great, great. Kari, did you want to speak to that somewhat in terms of alignment? I think we're all on the same page because we're all constantly in communication with each other, and that's great. Because I just want to add that as we look at being the best school district in the country, the best program, the best community partner, we have to make sure that we're all communicating and that we have a plan that is aligned and that's best meeting the needs of the students. So I think that that's an area that we really need to highlight and bring attention to because it's important.
Oh, it's vital to have that alignment piece. You cannot operate in a silo and think that you're going to have the student success that you're looking for. And we're just really appreciative of partners like Flint Community Schools, who includes us in all their planning. And just an example, last school year, Flint Community Schools transitioned from a traditional school year that runs from September through early June to a balanced calendar that ran from August to mid to late June. And that was a huge change for families. Flint Community Schools allow Community Education Initiative and YouthQuest to come alongside them to align our messaging. So frequently asked questions for parents. We all use some of the same types of messaging, the messaging that we gave our staff. If they were asked questions by parents, we made sure we worked together to be in alignment. Without that, you would have confusion and frustration. So to your point, it is absolutely vital that you have alignment at every level, from the front line where students are being serviced, by teachers and learning guides and CSDs, all the way to administrative, to where you have leadership from all three organizations working together to plan and come up with policies and protocols that benefit the families and make sure that we're still in compliance with all of our goals for our organization. So yes, alignment is vital. Thank you.
That is great. So let's just shift here and just talk about, because I hear testimonies in the community all the time about some of the ways that our students have benefited from these partnerships. Mrs. Stewart, we'll start with you. And what are some of the ways that our students have benefited from the partnerships?
At Flint Community Schools, we know we could not do the work that we do without the support of our community partners and programs like the ones that we have. They're not supplemental to the academic support we provide to students. They are an integral part of the work that we do every day. Our children are only available to learn if their needs are met first. And these partnerships help ensure their social and emotional needs are attended to so that they can be fully present in the classroom. That's the concept behind the whole school, whole community, whole child framework at Flint Community Schools. The results are indisputable. Our students and family are able to live healthier and have more fulfilled lives as a result of these partnerships. I have seen from some of our parents who have commented on the important piece of having an after-school program. Some of our parents have jobs, right, in the afternoon, and so they need for our students to be able to take advantage of the partnerships that we have for after-school programs. Our students who are able to participate in sports. I'm a sports person myself. I play basketball in school, right? And so to be able to get out there and cheer our students on as they are participating in sports, and then the next day as a principal, to see students come back to school and to be excited about competition or to be excited about an activity that they participated in, and for them to be able to share that excitement with me it's just awesome.
That is great. Thank you. Carrie, I know you've received lots of testimonials from the community. Can you add some perspective in terms of how are our students benefiting from these great partnerships?
Well, and I think, so this panel, right, is consisted of educators. And I think as educators, we know the importance of having as many caring adults supporting our kids, right? It really does take a village. And so I think the opportunity to have community education partnering with Flint schools under Anita's leadership has been so beneficial. At every single one of our schools, we have a community health worker. So we're thinking about how can we best support students. I love that language about making sure that students are available to learn. We have a community health worker through our Flint Community Education Initiative partnership with Genesee Health Plan. A community health worker is on site. They focus on making sure that families are connected to resources. They do a health assessment with every household. They also assist with attendance and supporting students, making sure we're removing barriers so that kids can get to school on time and be there present to learn. And they also do some case management with families who maybe need additional support. And I think the opportunity for our community health workers to partner with the school nurses at Flint schools, I think sometimes that might be the best kept secret. We have school nurses at every single Flint community school. That's kind of unheard of in most other districts. Oftentimes it's one nurse for the entire district, and we have nurses on site to support students and community health workers who are there to engage with family members. We do lots of mindfulness work with our mindfulness initiative at the Crim Fitness Foundation. They serve as one of our partners so that kids are equipped with the skills that they need to maybe do lots of self-regulation and work on their social connection skills with others because they're individually healthy and whole. We also partner with different organizations like Kettering University to bring robotics to the schools from kindergarten all the way up through high school. We also partner with First Tee of Eastern Michigan to bring golf skills. Those are just a couple of examples of those extra opportunities that we bring to students through partnership. And those partnerships, what we're doing, it's exactly what Anita said. It's about wraparound services so that the whole child is served, so that kids, when they're in the classroom in front of the fantastic teachers at Flint Community Schools, they're ready to learn. Things like YouthQuest, I mean, the amount of enrichment activities that YouthQuest brings to the table for our kids is phenomenal. And so, Tari, will you talk a little bit about all the work that you're doing in YouthQuest as well?
Sure. I thank you again for the partnership. It's created a space where kids can feel empowered to learn, they're able to grow, they're able to plan for the future. And again, it does ensure that the students' educational, emotional, physical needs are being met from morning to evening. Some of the great things we have for YouthQuest, in addition to the academic support and the fitness and nutrition, we have a program called YQ Biz, which is our youth entrepreneurship program. Students skill build in the area of financial literacy, as well as what it means to be not just an entrepreneur, but a successful entrepreneur. And we've gotten support from the school district, we've gotten support from CEI, and it's just wonderful to see these kids empowered, running their own successful businesses, so much so that it goes beyond the school year, that on their own, they're selling their goods on social media sites. And it's just really encouraging to see. Another benefit, I think, outside of the students being supported, back to what you were saying about the families, a lot of things are going well, but occasionally there are challenges, and you know your partnership is effective when there's an issue and a parent feels like they can pick up the phone at any time and they can reach out to a parent facilitator or a CSD or even the superintendent at times and have their voice heard, and not only heard, but know that we're going to work collectively to resolve that situation. I think that speaks strongly to our partnership and how it benefits not only the students, but the families as well, to know that they're supported all the way around.
Tari, what are some of the benefits for students having voice and choice? I know that's a huge part of our YouthQuest programming, making sure that our students have choice and voice. Can you speak to that just a little bit, please?
Absolutely. For learning to take place, you need students to have ownership. It's not just about dictating information to them. You want them to have creative thinking. You want them to be able to collaborate effectively. You want them to have self-awareness. So it's very important that students have voice, that they're able to plan what they want to do and program. You get buy-in, and when you have buy-in, you don't have the behavior issues you would normally have because they have ownership. This is something that they created themselves. And it's extremely empowering, especially when you're trying to help kids to dream and to know that anything that they want to do is possible. So student voice and choice is huge in after school, in community education, and in Flint community schools.
So if I can add on to that, Dr. Leverett, that just goes back to the alignment between the work of Flint Community Schools, YouthQuest, and CRAM. Flint Community Schools, we have 3 pillars that we operate from: formative assessment, cognitive engagement, and student voice, right? And so the student voice that you guys just spoke of just aligns to the work that we're doing during the school day around student voice. And so I just wanted to lift that because that was a prior question that we talked about, just to show an additional layer of the alignment of the work between Flint Community Schools, YouthQuest, and CRAM.
That is great. Thank you for that, Mrs. Stewart. Now, I just want to talk about, we know that we're amidst this pandemic. There's a lot going on. We've had to shift. Our school is not closed. School is still in session. We've had to shift our focus, and the impact of the emotional toll that it's taken on adults. We see those in our students as well. But even prior to this happening to, our community, the country, and the world, we have been focused on, as you said, Mrs. Stewart, the whole child, making sure that we stay attuned with their social emotional learning. So can we talk about the benefits of the partnership as it relates to our students' social emotional learning, whether we're talking about the CRIM mindfulness, whether we're talking about engaging students in sports activities that helps with that social emotional learning. We're talking about positive behavior intervention supports that are afforded to our students, and all of those things that are embedded in the Flint Community Schools curriculum that we have, as you said, Carrie, the social workers at the school, and then it's part of a very integral part of the 6 program tenets of YouthQuest. Can we speak to that? And Tari, I'll start with you.
Sure. So as you mentioned before, it's taken a huge impact on our students, the COVID-19. And I believe that some of them are dealing with it better than others because of the wraparound services that they've received during the school day and even in after school. We make sure we embed social emotional learning in all of our activities. It gives them opportunities for self-expression, time to talk out how they're feeling, time to decompress if they don't want to talk at all, as well as an opportunity to build healthy relationships with their peers and those supportive adults that Carrie was talking about earlier. We focus a lot on building a strong community because we're trying to teach students how to be successful as adults, not just in their careers, but as integral parts of their community. So we focus a lot on team building activities that teach kids how to collaborate and manage peer relationships. We allow students the ability to create their own classroom expectations. That way you have buy-in, and a lot of times they're checking one another. The teacher doesn't even need to say anything. The kids created this together, so they're able to hold one another accountable. Our goal is to be able to keep kids engaged and participating. So that means if students are off task, they're given the opportunity to think about what triggered their behavior, what are some different ways that they could possibly address that situation later, and we give them some tools for their toolbox. So rather than just looking at behavior, as something that needs a punitive response, we use it to empower students and to learn how to manage their emotions and learn how to manage their relationships. Even when major behavior issues arise that need to be addressed on a higher level, community education, YouthQuest, and Flint Community Schools, we work together with the students and their parents to try and come up with a way to resolve the situation and help the student have some tools so that they can reintegrate into programming and participate. Some of the ways it's played into programming right now is even last week with our virtual programming, what started out as a study hall for high schoolers turned into kind of an emotional check-in session for how the COVID-19 crisis was affecting them, affecting their families. And it gave them that space, a safe space for them to be able to express themselves and articulate how things were going, and for those adults to provide support for them, even remotely, virtually. So social emotional learning is embedded in just about everything that we do in YouthQuest.
Great, thank you. Anita?
Yes, so speaking of social and emotional learning, Flint Community Schools has two initiatives, Capturing Kids' Hearts and PBIS. And with those two programs, all staff touch children, whether it's a lunch worker, custodian, safety advocate, even our community school directors and our YouthQuest after school team, they were all trained alongside of the daytime staff to support students in those district-wide initiatives of Capturing Kids' Hearts and PBIS. In addition to those two initiatives, our community school directors, they lead our attendance task force team at each school that includes the building principal, the school nurse, the mental health therapist, the behavior specialist, even our DHHS staff and community health workers. And their primary responsibility is to decrease the attendance of students, to make sure that they are in school, and to be their biggest cheerleader to support them and to help remove any barriers that they may be facing to being able to be at school. And so those are some of the initiatives that YouthQuest and CRIM have been a part of around social emotional learning.
That is great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love, when Anita mentions, and she says this, it almost feels like it's second nature to her when she talks about having DHHS staff in the building and having behavior specialists and the nurse there at every single building, and even mental health therapists in the building. She says that it's second nature. It's how Flint Community Schools does business. It's how we go about educating kids. And the great thing, I think, though, about the opportunity to have the community school directors there to help kind of lead the attendance task force and collaborate with all of those staff members who are at the school to serve kids. The great thing is that it allows the principals to really stay in that lead educator role for the building, right? So they have the time to go into the classrooms, connect with students, to work with their staff to make sure that we're bringing the best learning possible in the classrooms. And I think that's a great part of that partnership, that now principals have more opportunity when we have all these additional staff members and partners really supporting our kids, that principals are leading their teams, and they're so strong in leading their teams here in Flint Community Schools because they have kind of a team of people working together to make sure that kids are successful. And the other thing I would mention when we talk about social emotional learning is at every single school, we have success mentoring. These are caring adults from the community. Oftentimes it's staff members. Could be Flint Community staff members. It could be YouthQuest staff members giving up lunchtime to sit down with kids and have a meal, their lunch meal with them, and support them, encourage them to come to school every day, encourage them to do the best they can in the classroom. It's really, I said it before, but it does take a village. It's a group of people we are cheering and encouraging our Flint's kids just to make sure that they know we see them and we're excited about what their future has in store for them.
Mm-hmm. And I love the thought that she lifted of it does take a whole village. That is the whole premise behind the whole school, whole community, whole child model, right? It's the whole community involved with the whole school, wrapping their arms around the entire child.
Yes, thank you. That is so important, so important. So what are some of the testimonials, or what are you hearing from our parents and our students in regards to their experiences with the partnerships and programming?
Yeah, can I start? Is that right, Kim? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Carrie.
We have four very clear goals with community ed, and that is to help improve reading levels, improve attendance, improve grade promotion or graduation rates, and then also increase neighborhood engagement. And oftentimes we can get really focused on those are our goals, and we have to be data driven, and we are. We definitely use data to make our decisions. But from the very beginning, when community ed launched back into the schools, right in the 2014-15 school year, under the leadership of Jerry Myers, our CEO at the CRIM Fitness Foundation, and Lauren Haleli Zembo, who's now our interim CEO, from the very beginning, they've told us it's about relationships. It's about the connections that that you're making with kids. We are very data driven. We have really high expectations for our kids, for our partners, for staff, for this community. But ultimately, if we're not building strong relationships with our kids, we're probably just going through the motions. And so we always go from this relational standpoint. And I love when Tari and Anita mentioned about student choice and voice. So important to make sure that we're listening to the voice of our kids and our families. We don't ever step in and assume that we have the answers. We're partnering with families as well. When we talk about partnerships of the past, the present, the future,
Yes.
parents and students are our partners as well. We're not leaving them out of the equation and doing the work and expecting that they just step into what we have. We partner with them and capture feedback. I want to make sure I get some of these quotes correct, but we do like the big numbers. We want the big impact for this school year. Through Community Ed, we've had over 3,000 students enrolled in Community Ed programs, and that's after school, that's during success mentoring, during other programs like nutrition lessons that go on in the classroom. And so 89% of Flint Community School students have been engaged with community education in the last year. We've had over 8,000 participants at our sporting events, which is so powerful, right? That people are showing up to cheer our kids on. But really, when it gets down to it, it's about the voice of the students and the voice of the parents. And I'd love to share a couple quotes. We had a parent of a student who was in YouthQuest at Doyle Ryder. And this is the quote we received: "We survey parents 3 times a year to find out, are we doing what we said we were going to do? Are we serving you well?" And a parent who had a student in YouthQuest at Doyle Ryder stated, "By having a safe place for my son to go to when I'm at work, and when he needs someone to help him with his homework, that's the best way that Community Ed has served us." So they're saying Community Ed is serving their child well because YouthQuest is serving a need of having a safe place after school for kids to go, and not just go to hang out. It's about going to get help with homework. So, ultimately that's impacting how they're doing in the classroom. And then we have a student from Nethercutt, a 6th grade student who played basketball. And on that survey that we conducted through Community Ed, the student said, Community Ed, this program helped me to feel happy and to know that you have good friends and coaches as Miss Cross and Coach Mo in your life to listen and to teach you is cool. I mean, one of the words of our that's the good stuff right there.
Yeah.
We love the big impact. We, of course, are data driven.
Yes.
When parents and students are giving positive feedback that this is meeting a need, to have a student say my coach is cool, that's good stuff right there, right? So that's what makes us so excited. And that's what makes this, I think, partnership so phenomenal. It's not just about the organizations, it's about the parents and the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like to add on to some of and to some of that data that Carrie just shared, since she threw out data, and I love data. I just want people to know that the work has even continued, even during the COVID-19 school closures. The work hasn't stopped, right? And even with the work continuing, we've been in touch with families weekly through our wellness check calls. And in the first 3 weeks of school closure, our wellness teams made over 8,000 calls to our families. And so I just wanted to lift that as an additional data point to what Carrie lifted.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And to Carrie's point and Anita's point about servicing students and families, the feedback has been amazing with the COVID-19 closures. I feel like it's just felt organic to parents because we've been so intentional around building strong relationships with our families. They were very appreciative, but they weren't at all surprised to be getting calls from their CSDs, or to get a postcard or a letter from their day school teacher or their YouthQuest learning guide, just checking in to see, how are you doing? I miss you. Or even have a paraprofessional at the schools handing out meals with a smile. It wasn't Flint Community Schools or community education or YouthQuest doing these things. It was family helping family get through a tough time. And I love that. That's the feedback that I'm getting from parents and from families, that they're appreciative, that they're a part of this community, that we've made them feel a part of the community and what's going on with their students. And I had the opportunity to pass out school supplies to hundreds of families over at the Burston Center, and it was just encouraging to me. They were appreciative of what I was giving them, but they were giving me back encouragement as well. So it's definitely a two-way street. And again, it's not these organizations helping these families. It's family helping family. And we all benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. That is great. So, what do you think are some of the keys to successful partnerships? I know for me, partnership is built on the fact that we have a common plan, and we can all speak to that plan collectively. We have a common purpose, and we can all speak to that purpose collectively. But then we all have passion that drives the work that we do each and every day. So those are my three P's in terms of successful partnership that I articulate in everything that we do. And of course, that greater outcome is always about our students. So can you speak to what makes this partnership work? What makes it so successful? What are some ingredients that we can add to the pot this morning?
Well, Dr. Leverett, I would agree with everything that you stated. And in addition to what you stated, I would say communication. I would add communication to your list. Communication is key to a successful partnership. If we are all doing great work, but we aren't sharing critical information with one another, we aren't going to be nearly as effective as we are when we work together. So I would add communication to your list. And then the other thing that I would add to your list is just learning to rely on one another, right? Especially in
Yes.
times like this. I continue to be reminded that the people of Flint can and will do whatever it takes to make sure Flint's children are cared for. So just relying on each other and working together in a collaborative effort.
I would agree. I would agree. And in addition to communication, just building that trust. When you have trust between the organizations, you can come together and have a conversation that's not only productive and respectful, but it's also candid. And we can share safely with one another what is working, what's not working, and then work together to come up with a solution. And it's because you work to build that trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
true.
I do think I like these leaders, right? I like these women. It's a pleasure to work with them. It's a pleasure to come to work every day. And so I think that's a huge part of it. You know, once we build that trust and we are investing in relationships, it's about truly enjoying what you do, right? It's about, at the end of the day, it feels good, right? I love getting to see our kids. I love getting to connect with parents. I'm proud of the work that these organizations are doing, but I enjoy working with these people. And I'd also say, you know, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about, this is a resilient community, not
Yeah.
just like that we just overcome challenges, resilient in a way that we shine. The Flint community shines. I can't think of another community where you go, nope, this won't bring them down. Absolutely not. We've proven that the Flint community is strong, that people will continue to show up. And these challenges might feel like barriers or obstacles for other people. I think for the Flint community, this is just an opportunity for us to step up, step in, and do right by our kids.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So can any of you speak to what does the partnership look like now?
So I can start, and I'll start by saying when COVID-19 began to spread rapidly, we knew our strong partnerships would be the foundation of our path forward. Administrators, teachers, staff, union leadership, the Board of Ed, including Flint and Genesee Chamber, Crim Foundation, CS Mott, and the list goes on and on and on. They all have been involved in continuing to provide the services students and families have come to rely on. The Crim Foundation and YouthQuest are providing daily mindfulness videos and our physical education activities for students that are accessible through our Flint Community Schools website. Also, a daily story hour is being posted Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. through our social media outlets, including Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In fact, Dr. Leverett, you were our very first story hour reader, and families loved your narration. And so that's what some of the work has just looked like recently. Even I will just add to this, and I'm thankful for our partnership with the Mott Foundation, who they gave us a grant. And starting this week, we're going to be giving out the last layer of technology to those students who needed technology, as well as the ability to be able to tap into internet. And so, parents, if you have not heard from your teacher or your principal, please expect a phone call this week or next week of a date and time as to when your child can pick up a device so that he or she can participate in online learning.
Great. Thank you.
And I would just say, Dr. Leverett, you mentioned before, right, that the buildings are closed, but school is not closed. School is in session. We see lots of teachers and the YouthQuest staff and community ed. Our teams are very nimble, and our goals have not changed. We want to make sure that our kids are successful, and maybe the way that we're making that happen now looks different. It's virtual. It's also packets being available at the school. It's about additional support for families. So the buildings are closed, although I have to say at this point, right, I think, Ms. Stewart, buildings do have some office hours. So if parents come, make sure that you're connecting with your school. These are not buildings that are empty and we're hoping that people can figure out how to do things. We have a team of people who are ready to come alongside families and do whatever we need to make sure that they're successful and that kids get what they deserve. And what they deserve is a solid education with committed educators, and that's what we have. And I think in a lot of districts, teachers are doing all of that heavy lifting alone. I hope that here in Flint, people understand this is a team. When I think about the Sodexo Magic staff, they've given out over 300,000 meals. So Sodexo, in partnership with Flint Schools, they are providing meals for our students. At 12 sites, I think, and they were very responsive with bringing additional sites in and making sure that we're meeting the needs of our families. I know that the school nurses are still staying connected with our kids, especially our kids who have chronic illness or kids who have asthma, or if our nurses are aware that the child might be dealing with something at home, the Flint Community School nurses are still in touch with those families to support them. Some other things I just wanted to make sure that people are aware of. That community health workers are still available. Every single school has a community health worker, and if you have a question, you have a resource that you need, you can reach out to your community health worker through your school and make sure that you're getting the resource that you need, that support that you're getting. And those community health workers are through that partnership with Genesee Health Plan, and while they're not in the building, they are still working. I think all of our organizations are still ready to serve families to make sure that we're giving them exactly what they need. And we're committed to supporting students.
Great, thank you.
Dr. Leverett, if I could just add to Anita's point about relying on one another, because there's intentionality on all sides for us to create pathways for student success. Even though buildings are closed, again, school is still open. And because we have such a strong partnership, people don't necessarily see all the moving pieces behind the scenes. From the user end and from the family end, it looks seamless because we've been working so closely in conjunction with one another to make sure all of their needs are being met, whether they're in a school building or they're at home, continuing their learning there. So again, that intentionality, it's created a really strong partnership. And because of that, we were able to be nimble, as Carrie said, and react really quickly and devise a continued learning plan that helped students not only during the school day, but gave them additional enrichment activities to help them with those mindful activities or to be able to go out and stretch their legs. And so I'm really appreciative of all the hard work that's gone into it. It definitely was not easy, but we were all committed. We want to see these students thrive. We want to see them be successful. So we just kept coming right back to the table. And I think we're seeing the fruit of all of that labor now in our plans and all of the offerings that we have for students in the Flint community.
That is great, which takes me into sort of my next question for discussion, Tari, and I'll stick with you for this.
Okay.
So we have all of these moving pieces. We have all of the great plans. We have our purpose. We have our open communication. How do we sustain partnerships?
Well, I think it goes back to the former question when we were talking about keys to success, and you talk about trust and communication aligning with the district. And I think Anita mentioned this earlier, we have to keep each other updated on changes that could affect the partnership. An example would be, the 21st Century Grant that funds some of the YouthQuest programs. If there's changes to what's required of the grant, I have to make sure that CEI and Carrie and Anita Stewart and Flint Community Schools understand why we're changing things, and that we're not just being difficult. When everyone is up to date and they know what's going on and why things need to go on, it helps things go so much smoother. Also, I love the fact that we can come together even at the brainstorming stage and look at data and look at some of the things that happened in the past and think of ways to brainstorm and continue to bring our students innovative activities and learning opportunities. An example would be the summer program last year that Flint Community School started. It was a wonderful program. Outside of the school building, they had students at Kettering, at Flint Institute of Music, as well as Baker. And they brought YouthQuest and CEI in on the ground floor to start playing. And again, there were a ton of moving pieces, but the result was a phenomenal, highly engaging program that students just loved. And you even had students who are now talking about going to some of the higher institutions that they were able to visit. So in sustaining a partnership, you have to be able to bring people in that brainstorming stage as well. It adds value to the partnership.
It's great. Wonderful. Mrs. Stewart, did you want to add to that in terms of sustaining partnerships?
So I would just say a continued willingness to work together and an understanding that we all have the student's best interests at heart will help us to stay on track.
Yeah. And then I would also add, I like the innovation, right? Some of the sustainability is because we don't get stagnant. Specifically these three organizations, but all of our partners. And I think there are over 100 organizations partnering to make sure that the Flint Community School students are getting the best support. But it's also about being innovative. You know, when Tari and Anita spoke about last year's summer program, I mean, walking through the Flint Institute of Music and having get to see kids playing keyboard and drums and all the great experiences. It's about being innovative as well. It's about not getting stagnant, not getting comfortable, and always thinking, what else can we bring to our kids? What other opportunities can we give them? And I think that's so important. But we've done tons of professional learning, collaboratively doing that together. I think it keeps everyone moving forward, and it keeps kind of nudging us all to continue to grow and to seek out what other things we can do to make sure that our kids are getting the best.
Yeah.
That is great. That is great. So what does the future look like?
So I guess while there are many challenges ahead of us, given the current situation we're dealing with across the country, the future in Flint is bright. Our children will face many obstacles and barriers to success, but the people of Flint never give up on Flint's children. Through strong community partners, our children are surrounded by positive mentors and role models, strong support systems, and they are learning that they can achieve anything they set their minds to. And I think, as Carrie stated before, us as leaders, continuing to stay in the innovative mode, stay fresh, respect each other. What I love about this team is there are no big I's, no little U's. Anybody can bring a thought to the table, and we will massage and work that thought until it comes to be something, just as the people just spoke of summer school last year. It was a thought that was put on the table. I threw the thought on the table and I said, okay, guys, I don't know how it's going to happen, but people began to massage that thought, and we massaged it until it came to be something that was powerful and great for the students of Flint Community Schools. And I think if we keep that same mindset of staying fresh, staying innovative, and keeping the students at the forefront, I think the impossibilities become possible.
Great.
Yeah.
Did you want to add to that?
Sure. Just to agree with Anita, it does look bright. There's a lot of potential here. It's limitless what these kids can do. And I'm encouraged every day and just inspired every day by some of the ideas that these kids come up with. And that's because we work together to give them the space to be able to be creative, to express themselves, to learn, to grow, to not be afraid to try new things. And I love this partnership because I think we're a great model for other people who want to be able to collaborate effectively. As Anita said before, there are, no big eyes. We work collectively as a team, where we give each other space to be able to express ourselves. And as Anita said, we'll just massage the idea till it's something workable that benefits our kids. So as long as we keep the kids in the forefront of our mind, no matter what the grant requirements are, no matter what our strategies are, as long as we keep in the forefront of our mind that we want to see today's students be tomorrow's leaders, the future is limitless for the kids here in Flint. And one of the reasons is because of our partnership.
Yeah.
And I think so too. I mean, and I'm sure all of us wish, even those people who are listening today or maybe listening in the coming days, I think we all wish that we knew all the exact answers of what the future looks like. What is it going to look like when we get back together? I do have to tell you this though. I think lots of districts are thinking about, they can't wait till they get to the end of the school year and they can kind of, right? This is hard. This is challenging. And we've asked educators to kind of flip their classrooms completely, and not just flip your classroom, but do it from your house now, right? Well, you probably have little ones of your own at home and you're trying to support their learning. And right, exactly. Dr. Leverett, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is hard work, but this is what I love about Flint Community Schools. When we talk about the summer programming last year, it's not like we're just, tooting our horns about how great the program was last year and how great Flint Community Schools was able to provide these amazing programs. We're working on what summer looks like right now. Yes. The schools are not closed. Now, we want people to stay home and stay safe and follow the governor's mandate. We're all doing this from home. Because we're following that expectation as well. We want to make sure that people are staying safe and staying home, and making sure that we're doing that because it's for common good, right? That's a familiar term for a lot of our kiddos, right? It's for common good. We make these decisions to follow the mandate. But I have to tell you, summer school is happening for Flint Community Schools. It might look different, and we're figuring that out right now, but we're going to be doing some amazing programs. I know already the planning's in the works for partnerships and kids doing camp invention, and we're figuring out how that's going to happen, and it's going to be phenomenal. I'm super excited about it. I'm excited about what our kids are going to do this summer. Well, I think lots of districts are going to go, this is a break that I need. Flint Community Schools like, no, our kids deserve engaging programming all year round, and we're figuring that out. So we're not taking a break this summer. We're all on the job to make sure that our kids are going to stay engaged. So when we do get back to the schools, our Flint kids haven't missed a beat. They're not behind. They're going to be at the front where they should be. And I do want to just, time and time again, I want to do these shout outs to, we have some amazing people who are standing in the gaps for our kids. Even when it does feel a little bit, sometimes, you feel a little uncertain, but I know one thing is for certain. Our kids are going to get some great programming this year, and we'll make sure that it's provided to them in the safest way possible.
Wonderful. Thank you. This has been a great conversation. I know that we'll go into some final thoughts. That was a great wrap up, Carrie. But as I was thinking about this webinar and talent, the past, present, and future of the partnerships, I wanted to make sure that we captured, because we can't have a future without acknowledging our past and the work, whether we're talking about Mr. White or whether we're talking about Mr. Mott and the Krim Foundation. We cannot build on the present or our future without acknowledging where we have been. And like you said, we are truly the birthplace of these great partnerships and community education. And we at the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce, our education and training department, and our team, we stand ready to go and to do what's best for our students, whether we're talking about the Cradle to Careers with YouthQuest, or whether we're talking about our Flint Promise, our Teen Quest, our Opportunity Youth. There are just so many programs that we provide to ensure, again, that we are building on the talent that's so integral, and making sure that we have a viable economy, that we have a viable school system, and that we have partners to make that work. And so I just wanted to be sure that we celebrated our past and we build on those giants that made it happen here in Flint and that continue to, and then to go into where we are presently and how we are adapting and that we are innovative. And as you said, Mrs. Stewart, so eloquently, our future looks bright. Again, our partnership is based on, and I'll add that to the mixture of our recipe this morning for those that haven't had breakfast. Here's some edification for you, but it is built on our passion, it's built on our plan, and it's built on our purpose. And then we sprinkle in, of course, we have to have the great communication. We have to have the data and be able to speak to the wonderful things that are happening. We talked about the great social emotional learning that's provided, the activities that keep our students healthy and nutritious, the meals that are afforded, the packets. I mean, we could have a webinar every week talking about some different aspect of the work that we do to impact our students and the community. And I hope that we'll continue to have these kinds of conversations in the future, because it's informative and it's always exciting to get with you ladies and to talk about the work that we do, because it's so important. And I just want to thank you. So I'll just start with you, Tari. Any final thoughts for the day?
Sure. Just thank you, Dr. Leverett, for this opportunity to come together and just highlight our partnership. Thank you to Anita and to Carrie and your teams at FCS and CEI for your partnership and allowing YouthQuest to come alongside you in this work that's having a huge impact. And I really appreciate some of our supporters like CS My Foundation, Huntington Bank, United Way. Without all of these organizations working together, it wouldn't be possible. And then finally, just to encourage everyone, whether you're in education or the medical field or you're a stay-at-home parent, I just encourage you to recognize the value of highly collaborative partnerships and recognize that differences, they're an asset, they're not a liability. The beauty of our partnership is that everyone brings something unique to the table. And when you come together, those contributions combine effectively and they create success.
Yes, absolutely. Thank
Yeah, and I would just,
Carrie.
of course, thank you to YouthQuest, to Flint Community Schools, the Flint Community Education Initiative. We feel absolutely blessed to be in partnership with you all in the work that we get to do in serving our Flint kiddos. You know, our goal is to make sure that we are supporting student success, partnering with parents, and cultivating vibrant communities. And in the midst of that, it takes so many people, right? I'm thinking about all of the partners, some that I would like to give a very specific shout out today. Definitely, I think it was Principals Day was that last week. And I don't think our principals are getting enough, thanks, right? So we want to make sure and say thank you to our principals. When we say the buildings are open 1 day a week, those are school principals making sure that parents have access to the materials that they need. And so a huge shout out to the principals. I think Anita, and I don't want to steal her thunder at all, but I know Anita's got some great things, great ways to honor the teachers this week. And so I'll let her speak to that for sure. But we're just so grateful. We're grateful that that we do get to do this work together. And I would say that the future, we said before, is bright because we have some amazing kids. And I feel like that's the story that needs to be told. The story needs to be told that we have some amazing kids. That's at the top of my mind right now. We had 12 Flint area high school students earn college credit at Harvard University through a partnership. That's powerful. And it's our kids. It's our kids at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. I hope parents are connecting with all three organizations. I am going to take just a minute to plug those. So the Flint Community Education Initiative, my organization, if you go to crim.org, you'll be able to find resources and ways to connect with your community school director and all the great things we're offering through mindfulness. Even, our adult training program for the CRIM is virtual as well. So great resources for our families and students to connect with. I know the flintschools.org webpage has great updates. I visit that website on the daily to make sure that I get to see all the great things that they have. Because they're updating it on a regular basis. And then Tara, are you YouthQuest.org? Make sure that.
Yes, for more information, you can go to youthquest.org, or we have a Facebook page under YouthQuest, and it will give you details about the virtual programming and how you can enroll your student.
Yeah,
Great.
Anita?
Yes, so first I would like to say thank you to Flint Community Schools, the Flint Board of Education, Flint and Genesee Chamber, Crim Fitness Foundation, and CSMOP. All of those people play very, very, very key roles in making this partnership possible. So without them, there would be no partnership. So I want to definitely say thank you to them. Second, thank you, Carrie, for lifting. If you have any questions, please visit our Flint Community Schools Facebook page as well as our website. And our website is flintcommunityschools.org. Once again, that is www.flintschools.org. I put too many words in here. Okay, flintschools.org. So www.flintschools.org. Please make sure you're visiting our website as we have information that is going on our website daily. If you're not a part of, please like and share our Flint Community Schools Facebook page. We also have information that goes out on social media every day. One thing that I do want to say as a closing thought, because we cannot or we have not been able to honor our seniors in a traditional way, every day we are spotlighting a different senior every single day because we want our seniors to know that, yes, the school year was kind of thrown off a little bit, but we have not forgotten about you and we're going to showcase you every single day. So if you have not received a call yet, please make sure to get in contact with your building principal so that we can get information about you and make sure that we include you in the lineup to showcase you because we care about you, we love you, and we want to be able to honor you. Stay tuned. There'll be more information about our seniors and how we plan to honor them this particular school year. So please make sure that you stay tuned. Last, Friday, May 1st was Principal Appreciation Day. And as Carrie stated, we have some amazing principals within our district. And so we had an opportunity to honor our principals on Friday, May 1st. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And so I want to say thank you to our teachers who have gone above and beyond to transform student learning. When it comes to partnerships, principals and teachers are often the first point of contact for our families. And without their commitment, none of this work will be possible. So on Friday, we celebrated our principals. Happy Principal Appreciation Day. And then on this week, we are celebrating our teachers. So
Great.
please stay tuned for all the amazing things that we have for you teachers this week.
Great. Thank you, ladies, so much. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. And now we'll turn it back over to Stephen. Stephen?
Thank you. This was really, really fun to watch. I can.
Yeah, great time.
We've run up to our hour, so there are a few questions, Dr. Leverett, in the comments that I will get to you to answer privately.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.